Caleb Brown here, New Planner Recruiting. I hope you're doing well. For those of you that are considering making a career change into the financial planning profession, or even those that might be in the profession that still aren't clear on the different avenues and business structures that are available to you as a career, I wanted to take a few moments just to talk to you about some of the main channels and the main business structures that when people enter the industry or when they're operating, how they're set up. So hopefully this will be helpful with you, because what I found is everybody says they do the same thing, but really the devil's in the details and kind of how they're structured and what their core offering is, how they charge and those types of things. So we're going to go through these rather quickly, but again, if you have questions or comments, you can always follow up with us at candidate@newplannerrecruiting.com. Love to look at your situation and address any questions that you have. So the first one is insurance, the insurance channel, and that's really, again, insurance and the investment folks, 40, 50 years ago, that's kind of who founded the financial planning profession. So if you watch paid TV or college sports, you see them advertise, Northwestern Mutual, Mass Mutual, AXA, those types of companies advertising, Pacific Life on TV. They're going to want you to get an insurance license, and then usually a Series 6 and a 63, so you can do some insurance and some also variable, some annuity products, those types of things. Usually paid via commission whenever you sell an insurance product. The second one is a wirehouse. Again, just think of the old school sort of the investment houses on Wall Street, so your Merrill Lynch, your Morgan Stanley, those types of things. So they're going to be more investment oriented. They're going to want you to get a Series 7 and a 66. So 7 is the registered representative license, and the 66 is the combined 63 and 65. That's fully licensed. So if you see that, they're going to want you to get fully licensed. Now the caveat is, to get fully licensed, you have to have a firm to sponsor you. And then to get hired, you have to have the license, but then you have to get a firm to sponsor you to get hired. So it's this chicken and the egg, and we're going to do another talk on licensure upcoming. So the insurance wirehouse, the next one is bank and credit union. So just think of like your local or your regional bank, or even like your national bank, like here in the Southeast where we are, like SunTrust, they have a wealth management division. Pretty much every financial services company out there is going to have a wealth management division, because the asset management it's very scalable and very lucrative, so everybody's trying to get into that business. So again, you need to determine what's the best fit for you, and hopefully this will help give you kind of a surface, at least a beginning way to look at these different career tracks and see what might be the best fit for you. So bank and credit union, again, they're probably going to want you to be 7 and 66, but the good news about that is they have an influx of customers. You can see how much they have in their accounts. Hey, you got, Mr. Jones, you got a lot saved up. Would you like to talk about maybe getting some of that invested? That type of thing. So some people like that channel because there's kind of a built-in clientele. You will still have to go out and get your own business, but there are some natural leads. Brokerage firm, just think of, again, more on the investments, but just think of like an Edward Jones. There seems to be an office, branch office or storefront in every town, at least I go to in America, there's an Edward Jones office there. So serving the local community, more on the investment planning, building your own business, getting your clients, generating some fees and commissions. They're going to want you to be 7 and 66 licensed to be able to give advice and charge, and also receive commissions, charge a fee and receive commissions. And then the one that's probably had the most explosive growth over the last 20 years is the registered investment advisor category. So there's two subsets. There's fee-only RIAs, and then there's fee-based RIAs. But essentially, registered investment advisors, they're registering with the state or the SEC, depending on their level of assets, and they pretty much have open architecture. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people leave these other channels to go to the registered investment advisor, and that's why you've seen the growth there, because if someone's an entrepreneur, they tend to want to have the biggest, most open architecture, the biggest number of tools in their toolbox, and for solutions for their clients. So if you're not a CFP or you don't have a credential, you're going to need to get that Series 65. If you go to a fee-only registered investment advisor, that allows you to charge a fee for investment advice. Okay, the Series 65, we have another video on that, but you can take that on your own. You don't have to be sponsored. If you're going to go to a fee-based RIA where you receive fees and commissions, you're going to need to get the SIE, beginning out with the SIE, and then eventually the Series 7, and then the Series 66, which again is fully licensed. So the RIA, that's where we operate the most, and it's a very appealing career track and business structure for a lot of entrepreneurs, but also for a lot of newer planners and career changers. And the last one is if none of these, I mean, again, these all that I'm describing tend to focus more on the higher net worth, the complicated situations, the estate planning, the investments, the retirement planning, and maybe not as much on budgeting and debt and credit scores and things like that a lot of people need help with, especially in your middle market or your mass affluent clientele, your blue collar type client per se. So that's the government nonprofit. So a lot of people that want to go do financial planning for younger people or even in their words, not mine, poor people, to help them try to get out of debt. Or even military, go counsel, doing financial counseling for the military. This is a great option. Okay, so there's lots of people that are hiring financial counselors. Again, your income could be maybe limited because you're not working with the higher net worth and more of the complicated, but the numbers will take care of themselves if you're doing what you feels right and what you want to be doing, and you're working with the people and you're seeing the tangible results that working with the people that you want to help. So government, and usually since you're not really selling anything and receiving a commission, usually you're paid a salary, again, out of a government budget or contract, and you're not given it specific advice, investment advice, like, hey, you should buy this or that. Typically, you don't have to be licensed. You need to do some further research on that, though, depending on the organization that you choose and you join, because they may have their own specific rules depending on what state or how they're structured. So that was a quick overview. We get this question all the time. I hope that was helpful for you when you begin your journey.